Hey friends, welcome back to Legend and Lore Stories. If you love emotional romance tales that make your heart beat faster, please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and comment below with your thoughts. Your support means the world to us and helps us bring more heartfelt stories for you. Now sit back, relax, and let this journey of love, longing, and passion sweep you away. Her name was Sophia, and her presence was like a delicate breeze on a warm summer night. Soft, calming, and yet strong enough to change everything around her. His name was Daniel, a dreamer whose quiet strength often spoke louder than words. Their first meeting wasn't dramatic, but it carried magic, an ordinary afternoon in the university library, where fate made them reach for the same book. Their fingers brushed lightly, a fleeting touch that sent a silent shiver down Sophia's spine. She looked up and her eyes met Daniel's. In that instant, something unexplainable passed between them. A current of connection neither of them fully understood, but both felt deep in their hearts. Sophia tried to smile, her lips curving nervously as if caught between shyness and excitement. Daniel gave a faint laugh, scratching the back of his neck, trying to hide the sudden rush of warmth flooding his chest. It wasn't love at first sight. No, it was gentler than that. It was curiosity, the kind that lingers, the kind that keeps you awake at night wondering what it meant. They both pulled back, each pretending it was nothing, but their hearts whispered otherwise. Later that evening, Sophia found herself replaying the moment again and again. The warmth of his hand, the depth in his eyes, the quiet intensity in his voice when he muttered sorry. It all felt too vivid to be dismissed. Daniel, too, lay awake, staring at the ceiling of his small room, recalling her smile, the way her hair framed her face, and the faint fragrance of jasmine that lingered in his memory. Something inside him had shifted, and he knew it wasn't going to fade easily. A week later, fate placed them together again. The crowded cafeteria was buzzing with noise, and Sophia struggled to balance a tray of books and coffee. Daniel appeared just in time, steadying her hand before everything could spill. Their eyes locked again, longer this time, and the world around them seemed to blur into silence. For a moment, it was just the two of them. The rhythm of their breaths, the thumping of their hearts, the subtle nearness that made the air heavier, warmer. Sophia's cheeks flushed, and Daniel felt his pulse quicken. He wanted to say something, anything, but all he managed was, "Careful there." They both laughed, soft and awkward, but beneath that laughter was a storm waiting to break. Neither of them knew it yet, but a story had begun, a story that would test them, break them, and bring them closer than they ever imagined. The days slowly turned into weeks, and their meetings were no longer accidents of fate, but choices of the heart. Daniel would find small excuses to be near the places Sophia liked to sit, whether it was the library corner, the art room, or even the small bench under the old oak tree where she often read. Sophia, on the other hand, pretended not to notice, but inside her heart leapt every time his eyes found her across the crowd. Their story had not yet been confessed, but it was written everywhere, in their smiles, in their silences, in the quiet way their bodies leaned a little closer when they spoke. One afternoon, fate offered them a moment too intimate to ignore. Sophia was sitting alone in the art room, sketching quietly, sunlight falling across her skin in a golden glow. Daniel entered silently, his footsteps echoing against the wooden floor, and stood beside her. He didn't speak at first. He simply watched her draw, the way her delicate fingers moved gracefully, the way her eyes narrowed in concentration. Something about her presence felt magnetic. He leaned slightly closer, close enough to catch the faint rhythm of her perfume, floral, soft, intoxicating. Sophia felt the warmth of his presence before she even looked up. Her heartbeat raced, and when she finally raised her head, Their faces were just inches apart. His breath brushed against her cheek, and her lips parted as if ready to speak, but no words came. Their eyes locked, and for a moment time itself seemed to freeze. The air between them thickened, heavy with an unspoken desire. Daniel's hand twitched slightly, as though fighting the urge to reach out and touch her. Sophia's fingers tightened around her pencil, her body trembling with anticipation of something she didn't fully understand, but deeply wanted. And yet, just as the moment was about to break, the creak of the door startled them. Voices and laughter spilled in from the hallway. The fragile silence shattered. Daniel stepped back, clearing his throat, while Sophia quickly looked down at her sketchbook, her cheeks burning with a color deeper than the sunset. Neither spoke of it, but both knew something dangerous and beautiful had just been born. That night, Sophia lay awake in her bed, her heart restless. She kept feeling the nearness of his breath, the electricity of his eyes. She pressed her pillow tight, her body aching with a longing she could not name. Daniel, too, stared at the ceiling of his small room, replaying her soft smile, the way her lips had quivered as though holding back a secret. He wondered if he should have crossed that line, if he should have stolen a kiss in that stolen moment. Their love was still silent, but its fire had already begun to burn. Love has a strange way of testing those who dare to feel it deeply. For Sophia and Daniel, the test came sooner than either of them expected. Daniel came from a modest background. His father was a clerk in a government office, his mother a schoolteacher, and life for him was about responsibility, sacrifice, and quiet dreams. Sophia's world, however, was different. Her father was a wealthy businessman. Her mother belonged to a circle of high society, and Sophia had grown up surrounded by luxury, expectations, and unspoken rules. At first, their love bloomed quietly, hidden in corners of the campus, in stolen walks, and in late-night conversations that stretched into forever. But love never stays hidden for long. Whispers began to spread. A friend mentioned Daniel's name at a family dinner, and soon Sophia's parents began to notice the change in their daughter, the glow on her face, the secretive smiles, the way her phone was always within reach. One evening, her mother confronted her. "Sophia," she said sharply, "who is this Daniel? Don't tell me you've lost your senses. He is not for you." Her voice cut through Sophia's chest like a knife. Sophia tried to defend him, her eyes brimming with tears. "He's kind, Mama. He's not like others. He understands me. I love him." Her mother's face hardened. "Love? Love doesn't feed you, child. Love doesn't build homes. Marriage is about security, family, and standing in society. Daniel has none of that. He cannot give you the life you deserve." Her father didn't raise his voice, but his silence was heavier than any words. Disappointment hung in the air, thick and suffocating. Sophia's protests meant nothing. Every tear that fell from her eyes was dismissed as childish foolishness. That night, her parents forbade her from seeing Daniel again. Daniel felt the distance almost immediately. Sophia's texts grew shorter. Her calls came less often, and when she did speak, her voice sounded weaker, as if something heavy was crushing her spirit. Sensing her pain, he grew restless. Finally, one evening, he stood outside her house, waiting in the shadows just to see her. When Sophia stepped out for a moment, their eyes met through the iron gates. Her face was pale, her beauty dimmed by sorrow. Yet in her eyes, Daniel saw the same fire, the same longing. She pressed her hand against the gate, whispering through trembling lips, "They don't want me to love you. They say I must forget you. But Daniel, I can't breathe without you." Before he could reply, footsteps approached and Sophia was pulled back inside. Daniel clenched his fists, rage and helplessness burning inside him. That night he wandered the streets, wondering how something so pure could be treated as a crime. Sophia wept into her pillow, her sobs muffled, her heart breaking. For the first time, they both realized their love would not come easy. Separation became their cruel reality, yet the bond between Sophia and Daniel only grew stronger in silence. Days at university felt heavier, as if every hallway reminded them of what they couldn't have. Sophia tried to focus on her studies, but her thoughts drifted endlessly toward Daniel. His gentle smile, the way his laughter had once echoed beside her, the comfort of his presence. Now all she had were stolen memories. Daniel, meanwhile, carried his own burden. He avoided the library, the cafeteria, the oak tree, every place that once belonged to them. It was easier to stay away than to feel the stabbing pain of absence. But destiny often mocks human will. One rainy afternoon, as the storm poured relentlessly, Sophia found herself rushing across the campus with no umbrella. The corridors were nearly empty, water dripping from her hair, her clothes damp and clinging. She turned a corner, and there he was, Daniel, standing by the window, watching the rain. For a moment, both froze. The world outside roared with thunder, but inside, time stood still. Sophia's breath caught. Daniel's heart raced. Their eyes spoke everything their lips could not. She wanted to run into his arms, to drown in the warmth she had been denied. He wanted to pull her close, to erase the distance forced upon them. Yet they stood still, trembling, chained by invisible walls of fear and consequence. The silence stretched unbearably. Finally, Daniel whispered, "Sophia." Her name left his lips like a prayer, heavy with longing. Sophia's eyes filled with tears. She stepped forward, then stopped, her heart aching with conflict. "I miss you," she breathed, her voice breaking. Daniel clenched his fists, fighting the urge to hold her. "And I miss you more than words can ever say. But if being with me means seeing you suffer, then—" His voice trailed, pain choking him. She shook her head, her wet hair clinging to her cheeks. "Don't say it, Daniel. Please don't." Their bodies leaned closer without realizing. He could feel the warmth of her trembling, and she could feel the storm inside him. Just one step more and the world would disappear. But just then, the sound of footsteps echoed behind them. A classmate entered, and reality crashed down. They pulled apart quickly, wiping their eyes, pretending nothing had happened. That night, Sophia lay in her bed, the image of Daniel's eyes haunting her. Daniel, too, sat alone, staring at the rain beating against his window. They both knew the truth. They were prisoners of their circumstances. But they also knew that the fire between them was far too strong to die. No matter how much the world tried to keep them apart, their hearts would always find a way back to each other. The distance between them was unbearable, yet every stolen moment made the fire burn brighter. For days they avoided each other, obeying the invisible chains tied around them. But when fate gave them even the smallest chance to meet, their emotions would explode like a storm breaking through fragile glass. One evening, during a university event, Sophia managed to slip away from the crowded hall. She needed air, needed silence. Outside, under the dim glow of the lamps, she found Daniel waiting, as if the universe itself had placed him there. For a long moment, neither spoke. Their eyes carried everything, the loneliness, the yearning, the hunger for each other. Finally, Sophia whispered, "I can't do this anymore, Daniel. I can't pretend we are nothing. Every second without you feels like I am dying inside." Her voice cracked with desperation. Daniel's jaw tightened. He stepped closer, close enough that she could feel the heat radiating from his body. "And I can't watch you suffer, Sophia. You're my life, my heartbeat. But the world doesn't care about us. To them, love is just a game of names and money." His words trembled with anger and pain. Sophia reached up, placing her trembling hand against his chest. The feel of his heartbeat beneath her palm made her breath quicken. "Then let them think what they want. I don't care. I only know this. When I am near you, I feel alive." Her eyes glistened with tears, but her lips quivered with something more: desire. Daniel's resolve shattered. Slowly, as if fighting every force in the universe, he lifted his hand and touched her cheek. She leaned into his touch, closing her eyes, savoring the warmth of his skin against hers. His thumb brushed away a tear, then traced the curve of her face. The world melted away. There was only them, the rhythm of their breaths, the rush of blood, the trembling silence of anticipation. "Tell me to stop," Daniel whispered, his lips dangerously close to hers. Sophia opened her eyes, her voice barely a breath. "Don't stop." That was all it took. He leaned in, and their lips finally met. The kiss was not gentle. It was hungry, desperate, the release of every unsaid word and suppressed emotion. Sophia clutched his shirt tightly, pulling him closer, while Daniel wrapped his arms around her, holding her as though he would never let go. Their kiss deepened, slow at first, then fiercer, as though they were both drowning and only each other's lips could keep them alive. When they finally broke apart, breathless and trembling, Sophia rested her forehead against his. "No matter what happens, Daniel, I'm yours," she whispered. And in that moment, under the dim light and the quiet night sky, two souls bound themselves together, ready to fight the world for the love that had finally found its voice. Love, once spoken through a kiss, could no longer be hidden in the shadows. After that night, Sophia and Daniel's bond grew stronger, but so did the resistance around them. Word of their closeness spread across the campus, whispered in corners, carried into the ears of professors and family friends. Sophia's parents heard more rumors, and their disapproval hardened into iron. They doubled their efforts to keep her away from Daniel, driving her to classes, monitoring her phone, filling her days with suffocating restrictions. But no chains are strong enough to hold back the human heart. Every glance Sophia and Daniel shared in class, every accidental touch in the hallway, every hurried conversation stolen in the crowd became fuel for their fire. They knew their love was now a dangerous rebellion, but it was also the only truth they had. One evening, Daniel wrote her a letter, pouring his soul onto paper. He confessed his fears, his dreams, and his undying love for her. "If the world takes you away from me," he wrote, "know that my heart will wait for you even in silence. You are my reason to breathe, Sophia, and nothing, not distance, not time, not even fate can take that away." Sophia read the letter under her blanket that night, her tears staining the ink, each word pressing deeper into her soul. Her heart ached with helplessness. She wanted to fight openly, to tell the world that love was not about money or pride. But she was still bound by the walls of her home, the fear of disappointing her parents. Yet Daniel's words gave her strength. She began sneaking out late in the evenings, just to see him for a few minutes under the old oak tree. There, in the quiet dark, they would talk about dreams, running away together, building a small home, living a life free of judgment. Their hands intertwined, their foreheads pressed together. They created a world of their own where nothing else mattered. But even in those moments of hope, shadows lingered. Sophia knew her family would never accept Daniel, and Daniel knew he could never match the wealth or power they demanded. Yet neither was ready to give up. Their hearts had tasted a love too rare, too deep to surrender. And so every stolen meeting, every secret smile, every whispered promise became a thread weaving them closer together. They were walking on the edge of discovery, risking everything for the fragile beauty of their love. The world around them was against them, but in each other's arms they felt invincible. Every love story reaches a moment where the choice must be made, to surrender or to fight. For Sophia and Daniel, that moment arrived sooner than they expected. Her parents had arranged a meeting with a wealthy family, intending to bind her into a marriage of status and power. Sophia's heart shattered at the thought. She cried through the night, whispering Daniel's name like a prayer, terrified that her love would be stolen forever. But love is stronger than fear. The very next day, she made her decision. When Daniel found her under the oak tree, her eyes were red from tears, but her voice was steady. "I can't live in cages anymore, Daniel. If they will not allow us to be together, then we must create our own destiny. I will fight for us." Daniel looked at her, overwhelmed with pride and fear. "Are you sure, Sophia? This will not be easy. They will stand against us. The whole world might turn its back." Sophia stepped closer, taking his hand firmly into hers. "Then let them. As long as I have you, I have everything. I don't care about the world, I care about us." Their decision sparked a storm. There were arguments at home, heated words, and tears. Sophia's parents threatened to cut her off, to strip her of comfort and security. But she did not waver. For the first time in her life, Sophia stood tall, her voice unshaking. "I choose him," she declared. "I choose Daniel, because with him I am alive, and without him I am nothing." Her parents, stunned by her defiance, tried to resist. But as days passed, they saw her determination, her unwavering love. They saw how Daniel stood by her, respectful, patient, willing to fight for her without disrespecting them. Slowly, the walls of pride began to crack. And one evening, her father, weary but softened, said, "If he is the man you truly love, then let it be. We will not stand in your way." Tears filled Sophia's eyes as she clutched Daniel's hand tighter. The chains that had bound them for so long finally broke. Their love, once hidden in shadows, now stood in the light, strong and unshakable. Months later, under a sky filled with stars, Sophia and Daniel stood together, their vows spoken not just before family and friends, but before destiny itself. "No matter how many storms come our way, I am yours," Sophia whispered. Daniel replied, his voice steady with love, "And I am yours, forever." Their lips met once more, not in secret but in celebration, sealing a love that had defied the odds. And so their story, once a tale of pain and longing, became a song of victory. Love had won. Outro YouTube style. Thank you for listening to this story of love, struggle, and triumph. If it touched your heart, please like this video, subscribe to Legend and Lore Stories, and share it with someone who believes in true love. Until next time, keep believing, keep loving, and remember, every heart deserves its happy ending.